In a small, forgotten town where dusty roads met silent dreams, lived a young man named Ayaan. He was not rich. He was not powerful. He did not come from a famous family. But he had something rare, a restless heart that refused to accept an ordinary life. Every morning, Ayaan would walk past closed shops, broken signboards, and tired faces. People around him believed life was meant to be survived, not changed. But Ayaan believed something different. He believed life was meant to be built. He worked in a small retail shop owned by a distant relative. The shop sold everything, from phone accessories to kitchen items, but nothing sold well. Customers came, browsed, and left. The shelves were dusty, and hope was even dustier. Yet, Ayaan observed everything carefully. He noticed what people touched, what they asked for, what they complained about. He listened more than he spoke. And slowly, a quiet idea began to grow inside his mind. One night, while lying on the thin mattress in his tiny rented room, Ayaan stared at the ceiling and whispered to himself, "There has to be more than this." That night, he didn't sleep. He thought about people's needs, their problems, their frustrations with expensive products and poor service. He realized that people didn't just want cheap things, they wanted value, honesty, and trust. That was the night the seed of HNF Store was planted, even though the name didn't exist yet. Ayaan had no money to start a business. No investors. No mentors. But he had one thing, time and hunger. He started researching online using free internet at a public library. He learned about e-commerce, dropshipping, customer psychology, pricing strategies, and digital marketing. He didn't understand everything. Many terms were confusing. Many ideas felt too big for him. But instead of feeling small, he felt excited. Every day, after work, he went to the library. Every night, he wrote notes in an old notebook he found in the shop storage room. He wrote goals, ideas, and dreams, even when they felt unrealistic. One line he wrote every day was, "One day, I will build something that helps people and changes my life." Months passed. His job became harder. His salary remained the same. His responsibilities increased. His dreams remained unpaid. His family often asked, "When will you get a real job?" Friends laughed and said, "Business is not for people like us." Society reminded him daily, "Know your limits." But Ayaan quietly replied to himself, "I will create my limits." One rainy evening, everything changed. A customer entered the shop, looking frustrated. She said, "I've been to 5 shops, and no one has the charger I need. And the ones they have are overpriced and low quality." Ayaan checked the storage, they didn't have it either. But instead of saying no, he said, "If I find it for you at a fair price, would you buy it tomorrow?" The woman nodded. That night, Ayaan searched online, found a supplier, contacted them, and negotiated a price. He ordered 1 unit using his last savings. The next day, he gave the charger to the customer at a fair price. She smiled and said, "Why can't all shops be like this?" That sentence hit Ayaan's heart. That was the moment he realized something powerful. Business is not about selling products. It's about solving problems. From that day onward, Ayaan began experimenting. Whenever a customer asked for something they didn't have, he tried to find it online. Sometimes he succeeded. Sometimes he failed. But each attempt taught him something. Soon, customers started returning, not because of low prices, but because of honesty and effort. Slowly, he began saving money, small amounts, but consistent. He stopped spending on unnecessary things. He walked instead of taking transport. He skipped entertainment. He invested everything into learning and saving. His friends called him boring. He called it focus. One night, while reviewing his notes, Ayaan wrote a name on the page, HNF Store. It stood for honesty, needs, fulfillment. He smiled. For the first time, his dream had a name. But dreams don't become businesses overnight. Ayaan still worked in the same shop. He still lived in the same small room. He still faced the same doubts. But something had changed, his direction. He wasn't just surviving anymore. He was preparing. Ayaan stood in front of the mirror in his tiny room, staring at a face that carried both hope and fear. His hands were trembling, not because he was weak, but because he was about to do something he had never done before. For weeks, he had been preparing. For months, he had been dreaming. For years, he had been waiting. And now, it was time to act. He opened the old notebook that had become his silent partner. On the first page, written in faded ink, were the words, "One day, I will build something that helps people and changes my life." Today was that day. Ayaan had saved just enough money, not much, but enough to take a small risk. It was not enough to open a physical shop, but it was enough to buy a few products and try selling them online. He didn't know if it would work. He didn't know if people would trust him. He didn't know if he would fail. But he knew one thing: if he didn't try, he would fail forever. He started with just 5 products, phone accessories, small home items, and a few daily use tools. He chose them carefully, not because they were cheap, but because they were useful. He contacted suppliers late into the night. He negotiated prices with shaking confidence. He learned words like MOQ, margins, logistics, and return policies, words he had never heard before. Some suppliers ignored him. Some laughed at him. Some refused to deal with such small quantities. But one supplier replied, "Everyone starts small. Let's work together." That message felt like a door opening in a locked room. Ayaan used his old laptop, borrowed Wi-Fi, and free online tools to build a simple website. It was not beautiful. It was not perfect. But it was honest. No fake promises. No exaggerated claims. Just real products, fair prices, and clear policies. He named the website, HNF Store, Honesty. Needs. Fulfillment. When the site finally went live, he sat quietly in his room, staring at the screen. There were no fireworks. No applause. No celebration. Just a soft click, and a dream became real. The first day, no orders. The second day, no orders. The third day, still no orders. Each night, Ayaan stared at the screen, refreshing the dashboard, hoping to see a number change. 0. 0. 0. The silence was louder than failure. Doubt began creeping into his mind. Maybe this was a mistake. Maybe business is not for people like me. Maybe I should stop before I lose everything. But then he remembered the woman who had said, "Why can't all shops be like this?" That sentence became his shield. That sentence became his shield. Instead of quitting, Ayaan did something different. He went back to the streets. He talked to people. He listened. He asked shopkeepers what customers complained about. He asked delivery riders about common problems. He asked families what they wished they could buy cheaper and easier. And slowly, patterns emerged. People were tired of overpriced products, poor quality, fake promises, slow deliveries, no customer support. They didn't want more choices. They wanted better choices. They wanted better choices. Ayaan returned home with clarity. He didn't change his products. He changed his message. Instead of advertising discounts, he advertised honesty. Instead of promising perfection, he promised effort. Instead of chasing everyone, he focused on helping someone. He posted simple messages on social media: "We don't sell everything. We sell what works. We don't promise miracles. We promise fairness. If you don't like it, we'll make it right." People noticed. Not many. But some. And sometimes, some is enough to begin. One evening, while washing dishes in his small kitchen, Ayaan heard a sound he had never heard before. A notification. He wiped his hands and rushed to his laptop. Order number 0001. He stared at the screen. His heart stopped. Then it raced. Then it cried. Then it smiled. He didn't care about the profit. He didn't care about the amount. Someone, somewhere, trusted him. That night, he didn't sleep. He packed the order carefully, as if it were a gift, not a product. He double-checked the address. He added a handwritten note, "Thank you for trusting HNF Store. We promise to serve you better every time." The next morning, he walked miles to deliver the package himself. When the customer received it, she smiled and said, "Thank you for treating me like a human, not a transaction." That sentence changed everything. The next day, 2 orders. The next week, 7 orders. The next month, 30 orders. The numbers were small. But the belief was growing. However, success never comes without resistance. Some customers complained about delays. Some returned products. Some wrote negative reviews. Each one hurt. Each one felt personal. Each one made him question himself. But instead of defending, he listened. Instead of arguing, he apologized. Instead of blaming, he improved. One night, Ayaan sat alone in his room, exhausted. He whispered, "This is harder than I imagined." But then he smiled and added, "And that's why it's worth it." He knew now, this was no longer a dream. This was a responsibility. To every customer. To every promise. To every future version of himself. Little did Ayaan know. This was only the beginning. Because the next phase would test him in ways he never expected. Not with slow sales. Not with doubt. But with failure. And sometimes, failure is the only teacher strong enough to create real success. Success never announces its arrival. But failure enters loudly, unexpectedly, and without permission. For Ayaan, it arrived on an ordinary morning. He woke up to 3 notifications, not orders, but complaints. One customer said the product arrived damaged. Another said the delivery was late. The third said the item was not as described. 3 messages. 3 wounds. 1 heart. At first, Ayaan blamed the courier company. Then the supplier. Then the system. Then himself. He sat quietly on the edge of his bed, staring at the floor, wondering, did I grow too fast? Did I rush things? Was I ever ready for this? He immediately refunded the customers. He apologized. He promised improvement. But refunds hurt. Not just emotionally. Financially. He had reinvested almost everything into inventory. Now, money was flowing out faster than it was coming in. Ayaan told himself, this is normal. Every business faces this. But his heart whispered, what if this is the beginning of the end? Days passed. Orders slowed. Reviews became mixed. Some customers still praised the service. Others criticized the delays. And criticism, no matter how small, feels heavy when your dream is fragile. One night, Ayaan opened his accounting notebook. He had never liked numbers. But tonight, numbers demanded attention. He calculated his expenses. His inventory. His refunds. His marketing. His remaining balance. The result, negative. Not just 0. Below 0. He had lost money. Real money. Money he had worked years to save. Money that had been his safety net. Now gone. His hands shook. Not from fear. From reality. That night, sleep refused to come. He stared at the ceiling, replaying every decision. Why did I trust that supplier? Why did I promise fast delivery? Why did I believe this would work? The doubt was loud. Louder than hope. The next morning, his phone rang. It was his mother. She didn't know about the business. She didn't know about the losses. She simply asked, "Are you okay, Beta? You sound tired." Ayaan wanted to say, "No, I'm not okay. I'm failing." But he replied, "Yes, I'm fine. Just working." Sometimes, the hardest part is pretending you're strong when you feel broken. At work, his boss noticed his silence. "You've been distracted lately. Is everything all right?" Ayaan nodded. But inside, his world was shaking. A week later, something worse happened. A supplier he trusted disappeared. No response. No refunds. No products. No explanation. Ayaan had paid in advance. That money was gone. He sat in his room, holding his phone, refreshing messages, hoping for a reply that never came. He whispered, "I trusted you. But business does not run on trust alone. It runs on systems." And he had learned that too late. That night, Ayaan made a decision. Not to quit. But to stop. He paused all ads. He stopped accepting new orders. He closed the website temporarily. He wrote on the homepage, "We are improving our systems to serve you better. We will be back soon." But what he meant was, "I don't know what to do next." For the first time since starting HNF Store, Ayaan felt truly lost. Not tired. Not stressed. Lost. Days turned into weeks. The website remained closed. His notebook remained untouched. His dreams remained silent. He went to work. He came home. He ate. He slept. He existed. But he wasn't alive. One evening, he met an old friend, Samir. Samir had always been the honest one. Not kind. Not polite. But honest. He asked, "How's your business?" Ayaan hesitated. Then, for the first time, he told the truth. "I'm failing." Samir didn't laugh. He didn't judge. He didn't comfort. He simply asked, "Are you done?" Ayaan looked up. "What do you mean?" Samir said, "Are you done learning?" That question hit harder than any failure. Samir continued, "Failure doesn't mean stop. Failure means adjust. Pain doesn't mean quit, pain means grow. Loss doesn't mean end. Loss means lesson." Ayaan said quietly, "I lost money." Samir replied, "You paid tuition to real life." That night, Ayaan reopened his notebook. Not to write goals. Not to write dreams. But to write mistakes. He wrote, trusted suppliers without verification. Promised delivery timelines without backup. Took orders without quality checks. Had no financial buffer. Had no legal protection. Had no system, only effort. The list was long. But clarity is always born from honesty. Then he turned the page and wrote, "What would I do differently if I started again?" And this time, his pen moved with confidence. He decided, no more blind trust, only verified suppliers. No more promises, only proven systems. No more growth without structure. No more emotion without discipline. No more shortcuts, only foundations. Ayaan didn't restart immediately. He spent weeks rebuilding. Not the website. Not the business. Himself. He studied logistics. He studied contracts. He studied financial planning. He studied customer service systems. He studied risk management. He studied failure. And slowly, something strange happened. The pain faded. The fear softened. The doubt quieted. The hunger returned. One night, while rewriting his homepage content, he stopped. He stared at the screen. And whispered, "I'm not done." He didn't reopen HNF Store. He rebuilt it. From the ground up. With structure. With systems. With protection. With purpose. Because now, Ayaan understood something powerful: success is not built by avoiding failure. Success is built by surviving failure.